looks like Cenk Uygur has some company. Let's put him up full mast. As you know, Cenk is running for president of the United States. So is this guy now, Representative Dean Phillips. Ever heard of him? You're not the only one. He is from Minnesota, has announced his intentions to challenge President Joe Biden on the Democratic presidential ticket, formally launching his 2024 campaign Friday morning in New Hampshire, where he will file to appear on the state's primary ballot. Phillips told CBS News that he has studied polling data and is alarmed about the prospect of former President Donald Trump beating Biden should the 2024 election end up becoming a rematch of the 2020 race. He said at 80 years old, it's time for Biden to step aside for a new generation of Democrats to leave the party. Now, naturally, he's not the only one saying that. Even people inside of the party have said it. You've had Republicans say it about both Trump and Biden. And ironically, Cenk Uygur literally said, based on the polling data, just as Representative Dean Phillips, based on the polling data, Biden is in more than what we would call political trouble, given the margins from the previous election. So let's put up the graphic. President Biden's approval rating among Democrats has actually plummeted to a record low. Okay. Now, keep in mind, 75% of individuals inside of the Democratic Party disapprove of the Democratic president. I'm not sure if I've ever seen that number in my life. That's actually worse, 11 points worse than where it was last month. That's according to a new Gallup poll conducted on October 2nd to October 23rd. Biden's approval in October's Gallup poll fell 4 points to match a record low, driven by his slide among Democrats. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, this is all horrible. This is all bad, really bad. And when I say bad, I don't mean bad in the sense of, we'll be okay, but it's bad now. If Donald Trump ever gets hold of presidential power again, you can say goodbye to what you have known as democracy. He will never allow someone to occupy that presidency after him until he passes away, because he would not allow another president to potentially prosecute him for the crimes that he has committed. In his opening remarks during his candidacy announcement, Phillips talked about many of the issues he sees our country facing today. Quote, the America that I love and the America that I know all of you love, the America that has shared refuge and has shared liberty and has shared opportunity with so many millions, but has yet to fulfill this great promise to millions more, said Phillips. There is a sentiment among Democrats, even those who are in the elected class. This is bad, we're in trouble. Well, we have this two-party system that already is adverse to anything close to common sense. We also have this de facto culture of selecting rather than actually electing leaders at that level. And then there's this, gentleman's rule among those at that level of politics that says, well, you can't run against an incumbent. You can't do so. Well, why? Where's that in the rule book? It doesn't exist. Why do you think it's there in culture? It's there in culture so that the power can be shared with just a few people over the course of time. All right, Jackson, thoughts here.
Well, look, I think, it's good to see people jump into the race, and anybody who'd like to do that certainly has the right to do so. But, I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of metrics to look at. And while Biden isn't a popular president, most presidents really aren't all that popular. And most incumbents win re-election because they have the resources on their side. And just because polling shows that people don't like Biden doesn't mean that people won't vote for him if they don't like somebody better. So again, if anybody can, pick up the pace, build a movement behind them, then that's their right. I'm all for it. But Donald Trump is still Donald Trump. The Republican Party is still the Republican Party. And at the end of the day, most races are pretty close, and it comes down to independents and swing voters. So, there's a lot of consequences at the end of this election. But all I'm really getting at is that, as you pointed out, we have a two-party system, and people generally aren't that happy with it.
Yeah.
So we got over a year left. We'll see what happens. Hopefully more people do join the race. So again, because if there's a time to challenge an incumbent now, certainly polling shows that for certain. But Donald Trump got 91 felony charges and so on and so forth. So unfortunately, it's very close. But I think, as many people that want to come into the race, go ahead and do it. Why not? We need it. Yeah.
You make a very true point about independents, people that may self-identify as moderates. They do kind of sway the needle, right? But the reality is, in the construct of our political system today, people who identify as independents are at the lowest margin it has ever been. There was a time where a lot of people identified as independents. Now, not so much. We're very polarized politically. But I concur with your point.